Hi everyone. Now, I've had a great week. I've had a tough week, right? Because at school, as you'd expect, as good as it gets, I can't wait to tell you about the three things I'm going to be talking about. They're brilliant. Um, but in my home life, I was in my gym, in my garage. Now, the garage is at the end of the house. It's not attached to the house. It's separate. It was raining lots. So I go in my garage. I think, okay, I'm fine. I start watching a great documentary. What a documentary called American Factory. I'm loving it. I'm thinking, this is one of the best business studies documentaries ever. And then I'm on my turbo trainer on my bike. Everything's great. And then I see something flicker outside my eye. I think, surely not. It can't be. It can't be. And it was. It was a tiny little mouse. And I screamed. I'm not afraid to admit to you guys. I screamed. And the mouse went away. And then it came back out again. Then I screamed. And it went away. But that little moment has kind of haunted me now. And I've got to try and live with that because every time I'm in the gym now, because it went down by where my weights bench was. So I feel like that area is now a no-go area for a little bit. I've tried to take away loads of stuff. Every time so there's like piles of stuff in my garage, as you'd expect. And I've now, every time I take away a box to try and like work out where this mouse was, I've got like PTSD, I think now from it, of what am I going to see? Is it going to be, I don't know, man. So that's tough. I might have to get my wife to help me. I don't know really. Maybe I'll get my kids to help me. They won't. They like mice. Anyway, where they are. Right. That's not important to you. What's important is what are the three things that are going on that are massive. First thing, assessment week. The hype for this is now almost reaching fever pitch. I can't tell you how excited we are. We're so excited. But it's kind of building up. So next week, we're going to give all the pupils all the information they need to know to be successful during assessment week. Now, I'll give you an example right now. What we're going to do is, a link underneath this is to the assembly that I'm doing for all pupils on Monday, which is like a video assembly. And then there's another teacher doing a video assembly on Tuesday and another one doing it on Wednesday. And we're teaching you three different ways that you could revise. And like, for me, it's completely your choice, wasn't it? It's completely your child's choice. What's the best way to revise? For me, the only way that worked was this kind of look cover check that you can watch the video on and see what happens. That really worked for me. But what worked best for me is I needed constant positive reinforcement. I needed someone to say, well done, you're doing well, keep on going. So I used to say to my mum, right, mum, can you test me in 15 minutes? I'm going to try and learn these two bits. And I'm going to come downstairs and can you test me? And mum was like, of course I can. So even though she knew nothing about the topic, because I was through with biology at the time, she knew nothing about it, she would just look at the sheet and go, what is this? And then I would tell her the answer. So I'd do two bits, and then I'd say, well, I'll go back up for another 15 minutes, and can you test me on all four? So you have to remember the bits from before and more stuff. Then I'd go back up 15 minutes and say, can you test me on six? And by the end of it, I've been tested 3 times, and then she'd in the morning test me again to check whether I remembered what was before. And for her, it was probably only taking her like 10 minutes. But I was doing an hour's worth of work. But I needed that positive reinforcement of this is what you need to do. So have a look at that video. That is one way you can revise. And as a parent, all I ever wanted to do was, secondary school is you want to help, but you feel like it's really hard to help. I don't know what to do. This will hopefully help you. So that's assessment week. Second week, it's even better, right? This is the award that nothing to do with me. This is to do with Miss Takel, Miss Prosser, the amazing staff in the autism base, who were highly commended in a big award ceremony on Tuesday. I forget where it was at because I wasn't invited. It was for them. And I'm so proud of the autism base because it's not just the base; it's the impact it's having on the rest of the school and how inclusive we are. And I know how it's changing people's lives, and they should be so proud of themselves. What a difference! Now there was a third thing. Oh yeah, wow! So last night was sixth form open evening. The numbers, I mean, the hall was packed. Doing sixth form for me is one, and I was trying to give the reasons why it's best to come back to sixth form. I'll go for the quick three. One, you earn more money when you go to university, and that's just a fact. So whilst you're going to start off in a job at 16, you can end up being in that job for a long time. So we want to try and give them that chance of going to university if they'd like to. The second thing is, I looked at the retirement age nowadays. That it's going to be when our pupils are going to retire, and it's going to be 70 years old. Now, I don't know about you and your job, but the thought of doing it until you're 70 when you started at 16 feels like a long time. So there is no rush. If you can go to go to school and carry on for a little bit longer, it's worth it. And then the final argument for me is the better grades you got, the higher you do compared to what your capability is, the more chance you can get a choice in what you do as a job. And having a choice in what you do and loving what you do is, I mean, we all know when we work, I mean, I love my job. If you don't get to love your job, it's not as much fun. And we want to make sure people have the opportunity to do that. So we really value them come back to the sixth form. And I think the last thing I'll kind of say about that is when you're 16, you don't really know what you want to do next. Like, you don't know. And you're not ready really for being as independent as you'd like to be. The great thing about a school sixth form is you still have that pastoral care from people who know you, and we've known you since you're younger. So there's my pitch, and I actually think I think it's a brilliant sixth form, and the number of subjects you can do across the sixth form across the two schools is it's as good as it gets. Right, there we are. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. I'm going to go into my gym. I'm going to go to my gym during the daylight hours because I googled that mice are nocturnal, so they can't get me then, can they? Brilliant. Right, have a nice weekend. Cheers. Bye-bye.